Dear friends, welcome again into yet another session of mathematics and into my YouTube channel, Maths with Mukesh Raj. Today, we are again here with a fresh new chapter of class 10th, and the topic of coverage in today's lecture is going to be probability. Friends, probability is all about predicting, and it is all about predicting. Predicting or prediction means that we are trying to identify the occurrence of anything. Prediction or predicting means prediction for the occurrence of any phenomena phenomenon that can occur in our surrounding. So this is known as probability. Now this is just a description of the probability so as to understand and move ahead with the conventional, or what role does it play into the mathematics. So coming to the conventional definition of probability, which means that it is all about the mathematics. Okay, it is all about the mathematics where we are trying to measure or identify the occurrence of any phenomena. So probability obviously belongs to the branch of mathematics which tells us about the uncertainty of the occurrence of any event into a numerical way, or in the form of the numbers or figures. That particular occurrence of uncertainty is known as probability. Now probability can be described furthermore with the factor of the range. It ranges from 0 to 1. Always it will never exceed these two values. That means whatever the probability will be for the occurrence of any uncertain event or uncertain phenomena that occurs or that may not or may be occurring into our surrounding, will always be varying between 0 to 1. Okay, now let us see and understand that how it affects the occurrence. Suppose that this can even be represented in percentage also. Percentage. Now the percentage means it will always lie between 0 to 100. Now if the percentage occurrence is 0%, means it is impossible to occur. It is impossible to occur. Whereas if it is having a probabilistic percentage of occurrence of that event to be 100%, that means we are talking about its sure occurrence. Impossible, it means the occurrence, it is going to be sure sort occurrence, means sure sort to occur. So this is the interpretation whenever you are giving. Similarly, if you are representing any value between the range 0 to 1, it will be applied in the same way. 0 means that the occurrence probability is going to be least, or that means that event is not going to occur. Whereas if the probability is very approximately near to 1, or it is exactly equal to 1, that means we are 100% or we are sure about the occurrence of that particular uncertain event which we are trying to occur, or which we are trying to identify as the probability. Moving ahead, there are certain things. Now suppose if you want to denote the denotion, how can we denote? The probability of occurrence means probability of occurrence. Occurrence means can be denoted as P and the event for which it is being recorded. Okay. Similarly, if you want to represent the probability of non-occurrence, then the probability of non-occurrence of any event means that we are talking about the non-occurrence in the form of p raised to the power column. You can represent it by a comma, or we can even write in this form. Probability of non-occurrence can be represented as, just hold on for a moment. Okay, so it can be represented as p of e, that is the probability of event, and raised to the power bar or dash, that means probability of non-occurrence. This is how we can represent the probability of non-occurrence. This is how it is being represented. Now there are certain terminologies that we are supposed to be aware of. Now there are two basic terms which we are supposed to be aware of, and that is the event and outcome. Now, what is event? Event means that it is the result of the random experiments. Before that experiment, suppose we are trying to find out that we have tossed a coin for like 10 number of times, and then the tossing of the coin for number 10 for 10 number of times can be treated as the experiment, because we have just tried to identify that if we are tossing the coin for 10 number of times, then what will be the results. So outcome is nothing but it is the result of any random experiment performed. For an instance of the example, we can consider it like that: whenever we roll a dice, then getting a 6 is an outcome. Whenever you roll a dice, you will sure shot you will get any of the number on the dice, so that is known as to be the one of the outcomes. Now similarly, event is all about the set of outcomes. Now tossing a coin for n number of times is the event, means tossing the coin is the event. Now as an example, tossing the coin is being explained by me here, and then the example is being represented as in the form of rolling a dice. We roll a dice, and the probability of getting a number less than 5 is the event. That means there are only 5 number of events that we can get number less than 5, or you can say that 4, because it's here it is talking about less than 5, so 5 cannot be included into here. So we can get number between 1, 2, 3, and 4. If we get a number 5 or 6, that means that event is not being included into it. That outcome will not be considered over here. Now the next term is that there can be any event which has only one single outcome. That means suppose that we are tossing a coin, remember that, or rolling a dice, we will always get at least one outcome, because when you toss the coin or whenever you roll the dice, it will land up with a specific value on the dice or on the coin. It can be either head or tail, and in the dice it can be number, any number between 1 to 6. It cannot either exceed or it cannot be even less than that. Then there are types of probabilities. There are basically three types of probabilities, rather we can say that, or two types of probability, not three exactly, but we can call it as two types. There is theoretical probability and experimental probability. Theoretical and experimental. The theoretical probability and the experimental probability. Now let's talk about the theoretical probability first, because the theoretical probability means that we can just represent this in this form. Means you can theoretically get the result as in this form. Okay, or if we wish, we can write down like this in this form. That is the probability of occurrence of any event. Let us say that the event is E, then we can write it in this form. That is the favorable outcomes upon total outcomes. So this will give you the theoretical probability occurrence of the event, or the uncertainty that we have talked. Whereas in the case of experimental probability, what we have to do here is we will have to first try performing the experiments in a set of numbers with different kinds of inputs, with different sets of input, and then we will get it solved by the empirical probability, which is as equal to that of the same thing that we have seen just in the theoretical concept. It is very much similar. The formula and the implementation is very much similar to that. The only difference is that here we are just using it in the direct way, that the probability of the occurrence of the event will be favorable outcomes, ratio of the favorable outcomes to that of the total outcomes. Whereas in the experimental case, remember that the probability will be always associated with an experiment, because unless you perform that experiment for repeatedly a large number of times, you won't land up to an experiment. Remember the experiment that we have performed, or when you will perform this experiment of titration in the coming future, you will see that during the process of titration or neutralization, what we do, we try to neutralize the acid with the base, and unless the color changes it, or when the color changes completely, only then we are going to get this experiment completed. And we repeat the experiment for n number of times, like 3, 4, 5, 6, so that we get at least an average value for the number of drops of bases that is being mixed with the acid, and it gets neutralized over there. Now the trials, after getting the results of that particular, once you get the result of those particular trials that we have performed, okay, so when you get those results, we then apply them to the experimental empirical formula. That is, probability of the occurrence of the event, PE, will be equal to the total number of trials where the event has occurred. The similar is the adaptation. That means the number of trials that we have taken, and out of which how many number of events that has occurred, and then the total number of trials. So it is very much similar. As I told you, there is not much, just a very thread like structure, thread like separation is there between the theoretical and the experimental probability. And remember one thing, that dear friends, before I end this session, and then we will continue with the problems and few more terminologies into the next consecutive coming videos. So this probability has a very specific role in the prediction. As I told you, nowadays there is a very trending technological advancement in the field of machine learning and deep learning, where the models are created, and these models are trying to predict based on our search history, based on our interests shown on the internet. So it is all based on this probability. So this probability, though this is a very small topic, this is a very small chapter given in this syllabus curriculum of 10th, but it is of very much importance. So please don't ignore this chapter, dear friends, and go through these points and topics. Hope to see you very soon into the next video with some more terminologies and some examples associated with the probability. And at the end, before ending this session, as usual, I would request all my dear friends, young generation friend, young minds, to please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. If you have not done it, please get it done. And if you have done it from your device, the channel can be subscribed from multiple devices. So thank you very much, friends. Take care. Bye bye.